Well, hello and welcome to a normal episode of the Small and Supercharged podcast. It seems like I haven't spoken to you for ages, although I've obviously been speaking to you every week. But I recorded those episodes a long time ago when I was interviewing the fab people for the book, You've Got This. You've heard not all the interviews, but you have heard all the interviews I've done actually now, as all the people I interviewed in person sort of through Zoom kindly said I could share all of the detail with you, and I hope you've loved them as much as I loved recording them and I loved asking the questions. I'm still just blown away by how kind and generous people were with their time, and I hope you enjoyed the interviews. I also hope you've enjoyed the book, and I wanted to say a massive thank you to all of you who have supported the book, whether you came to the book launch, whether you've been sort of cheerleading online, whether you've bought the book, if you've reviewed the book. It really means the world, because writing a book is a whole thing. The process is insane. It takes so long, and it's just, you do definitely put a bit of your soul out there, quite a bit of your soul actually in my case, out there. So I'm just blown away for your kindness. And I would just say one shameless plea: if you have bought it and you would like to leave a nice review, it would mean the world to me. It helps people make the decision whether or not they want to buy my book or someone else's. I mean, I hope they're going to buy mine. If you could just pop onto whatever platform you bought it from, leave a nice review. I do keep an eye on, well, mainly Amazon, I'll be honest. But if you do leave a review somewhere else, just message me and I will happily share it. And I'll be wildly grateful. Thank you. But I thought to get I put a post up on Instagram and said, what would people like to know about? Because I need to get back into the habit of this. I need to get my interviews lined up. Because we've been doing the interviews since what date was it? It must have been the 23rd of January. We've been doing interviews every Thursday, so it just feels really weird not doing an interview, having to actually do a podcast again. So I put on Instagram, who would you like me to interview? And somebody, actually, the fabulous, I'm looking at your Instagram handle, Main Tax Co, said, why can't we interview you? And I thought, okay, go on. And she basically meant put up a question box. So I'm going to go through the questions that I was asked. And I hope you find it useful. I hope you like it. I hope it was going to be helpful for you. So let's get cracking, shall we? So question 1 that came in is, what is the first job you ever had? The first job I ever had was actually as, I'm going to say, an apprentice. I think that's what you'd call it nowadays, although it wasn't a proper apprenticeship. I was actually working with horses. So I went from school to work on an event yard and got lots of BHS qualifications there, learned a lot about horses, I kind of went down the instructor pathway. So I used to work with they were intermediate level at the time. I think I'm just trying to think, it was a while ago. They competed at 3-star, which is probably today's 4-star level, some of them. And then we had like advanced medium dressage horses in. We had, lots of horses were kind of at the beginning of their eventing journey, but we had some nice posh ones. We had one that had done Blenheim, although she'd done what has she done? Was it a check ligament? She did something. So anyway, we had some really nice horses in, so I worked with them, learnt a lot about horses, but also became a riding instructor. And then from there I went to work at a riding school for a little while, got some more qualifications before going self-employed, actually as a freelance instructor, working as a local private school and doing instruction for people who wanted riding lessons, so adults, and also kind of schooling, and more schooling really than stable jobs, but kind of schooling and hacking out other people's horses too. It's slightly random. And the next question is, when did you transfer into PR and marketing? Which is a strong question, because obviously horsey stuff, even though I do a lot still with equestrian and rural businesses, I do a lot with mainstream now as well. The kind of transition came because I've always loved writing. I've always been good at English, she says arrogantly, but like at school I loved English. I got really good grades at English, but I just wanted to go and do something that wasn't school. So when I was doing the work I was with horses, I had the opportunity. I mean, I made the opportunity happen, let's be perfectly honest, to write for a publication, with training things and the stable management side. And I was writing for an equestrian publication, which doesn't exist anymore. Not my fault. That's just, life. A lot of the publishing industry has had a lot of changes over the last, 20 years. Very old now. So I started writing for them. And that kind of led me into, I really enjoyed it. It was a good thing to do. It was good. And from that, I stepped into copywriting for companies. And then I identified a gap in the market where people just weren't taking advantage of free editorial opportunities. And think back to this time. This was before social media. I know, shocking. But at that time, there was a huge number of equestrian and rural publications, like a huge number. There was more than one regional for every region. There were lots of national ones. It was a different market. But every one of these magazines had loads of opportunities within them for like tried and tested, buyer's guides, editorial features, news, all these things that so many companies were not taking advantage of. Like they weren't submitting anything to these features. And I did a bit of research and I was like, well, why not? And the thing was, they weren't, because a lot of the time they didn't know about it. And the second thing, they didn't have the perhaps in-house expertise to do that, to kind of understand whether all the capacity. A lot of small businesses are incredibly busy with a lot of things. So I was like, well, I could help you with that. And I was really, really successful at it, which helped. And it just kind of spiraled from there, really. The kind of mixture of that copywriting and the PR side, the PR and marketing side as it came in, promoting products, but also stories, sharing news, new items, just grew and grew and grew until one of the companies I worked on a freelance basis asked me if I would go and be their marketing manager full time. And then I went back. And then I went to being employed, which was crazy, before going back to being self-employed. So did I go to university? No, I did not. I go to university a lot more now than I ever did. So I didn't go to university. I didn't take the conventional route into education whatsoever. But now I actually I've guest lectured at three or four? At least three. 4 if you count remote, actually. 4 or 5 remote universities I guest lecture on PR, marketing and social media. It's weird that I'd never actually went to do my learning there. I'm very much learnt on the job, but actually amusingly, the stuff that I do now, a lot of the coaching and a lot of mentoring I do around the PR, marketing and social media, when I would have gone to university, there would have been nothing about social media whatsoever. It would have been about a lot of things that now we don't, either we don't use as much or things that didn't exist. So no, I didn't go to university at all. Not that I think that university is a bad idea. I think if that's the route you want to go down, absolutely go down it. But equally, if it's not for you, there are lots of different ways to get to different places. The world has changed so much now. I mean, recently, a couple of years ago, I did the equivalent to a master's in coaching and mentoring. It comes with points and things like that, which was the ILM level 7 in executive and senior coaching and mentoring. So whilst it's not a conventional degree, it's the equivalent to a master's. So there are lots of different routes you can take to be seen as that person, that expert. I've got quite a few different kind of qualifications that I've done, well, in the last probably 10, 15 years, and continue to update and learn. So I think university can be brilliant. I think specific jobs, definitely, like you don't want, like a doctor or a lawyer or things like that. But equally, there are different ways to get, I'm not an expert on being a doctor or a lawyer for the record, but there are different ways you can get into basically any job that I'm aware of. I'm sure there are exceptions, but you don't have to take the A to B route. You can do other routes. If university doesn't suit you, you don't fancy it, but if you want to, go for it. My point is, I didn't do it. I'm kind of pleased I didn't do it, because I wouldn't be where I am now if I did. I'd have been somewhere completely different. But it's interesting, isn't it? It's the routes you take, but there are lots of different options available to you. The next question is about the book, about how I got the publishing deal, really. And I mean, just to be very honest with you, getting a publisher for a book is not easy. And I am very fortunate, and I still can't quite believe that Bloomsbury wanted to publish my book, but they did. And I'm very grateful, but be under no illusion, the graft I put in to make that happen was more than most people would consider. So the first book I published, Small and Supercharged, which is still available on Amazon, good book, I'd get it if I were you. I self-published that because I approached publishers. I didn't approach Bloomsbury, actually, because I never in my wildest dreams thought that Bloomsbury would say yes to me. So I didn't approach them for the first book at all. I approached what I would call, and this isn't in a negative way, but kind of a level down of publisher. Whether that's correct or not, I don't know, and did not make any headway. I had one person saying I was far too niche. So I said, well, I can be less niche, as in I can do more stuff in the mainstream, which I duly did. And then they were like, oh yeah, that's really great. I mean, they were really impressed at what I'd done, but they still didn't get the book. And I thought, well, shouldn't we have just said that to start with? But anyway, to be fair to them, not that they realise this, but the kick up the backside they gave me to do something and do more mainstream stuff has been very, very useful for lots of other things. So whatever. But I was really given the runaround with that book, and it really annoyed me. And I just couldn't get anyone to get it, as in to understand it. So I self-published it with lots of help from my lovely friend Ruth. And then this time I had another idea for a book, which obviously turned out to be You've Got This. And I just really, really wanted a publisher because I thought it's not easier working with a publisher. It is in some ways. And Bloomsbury have been delightful to work with, like insanely lovely. I'm so grateful to have them. I feel like we're very much a team pushing in the same direction, and it's been brilliant. But what's great, I think, is when you work with a publisher, you get access to other things. So it's much easier for bookshops to list your book on their sites. Because you say you're published with Bloomsbury, it opens more doors, which I think did help with getting the interviews, whether or not the people would have said yes anyway, because they're lovely people. But I think it's kind of, this person isn't just self-publishing, they've got the backing of a publisher as well. So yeah, there are lots of pros and cons, but it was incredibly hard work to get a publisher. Not that Bloomsbury were difficult at all, but the process is hard. The process you have to go through, the refining you have to go through, the understanding, the research you have to do just to put a proposal together. Like the proposal document takes a long time to put together a good proposal, because you don't just put about what you want to do. You have to research the market, you have to pull out similar books, you have to talk about why your book is different, you have to explore the different markets, gather evidence about why you think you're right to suggest those markets. So I'm not saying it's not possible. It is possible. Obviously it is, because I did it. But be under no illusion, it is not easy. But if you put the work in and you get there, magic. And if you don't get there first time, self-publishing, it used to be all self-publishing, and people used to kind of look down their nose a little bit at you. They don't anymore at all. And they shouldn't do. It's flipping hard work. So if you really want to get a book published and you can't get a publisher, self-publish. I did mine through Amazon, and it was really easy. Really easy. They look after everything. So there are different options, but I am I'm thrilled, still thrilled, that Bloomsbury said yes, and it was worth all the effort and then some. So hopefully that's helped you with that. The next question is, how did you pick the people to interview for your book? Was it hard to get them to say yes? The people who I've got in the book, it was not hard for them to say yes. They were delightful. So all the people that are in the book were very willing from the start. No one had to have their arm twisted. They got it. They were willing. Lovely to work with. However, there was one person I contacted, and I contacted them through Instagram actually, because I follow them on Instagram and I've admired them for a long time, and they were really positive, and I thought brilliant, and put me on to their PR person who just gave me the runaround for ages. So I was pretty much rooting on them, as in I was pretty confident because the person I wanted to speak to had said yes, and then their PR person just stitched me up slightly, gave me the runaround, was really unhelpful, really uncooperative. I was really unimpressed, and have actually thought of the brand in much worse terms because of that. But anyway, that's a side story. So I was really cross about that. Lots of people ghosted me. I had quite a few no's, which is fine as well. But the people that I've got, I am thrilled with. I could not be happier with. So I had a list of people that I just admired, people that I followed, people that I liked what they did, people that I loved the products that they've created. So, I mean, to pick out just a few random ones off the top of my head, not random, but, off the top of my head. So Joanna Jensen, she's the person behind Child's Farm, but she also used to own half parts, I'm not sure, of Natasha Baker's Paralympic horse. Delightful lady. I interviewed her. Actually, she was on a podcast, a standalone podcast of mine a while ago, and she was lovely. And I was just thrilled that she said yes. Not only is she just brilliant and she's really fun and really straight talking, she's horsey as well, and she's a businesswoman, and she's great. And Child's Farm is brilliant. I've used it with my own children. Then Theo Paphitis, because I'm part of the SBS network, I thought he'll never say yes. He did. And I'm very grateful to Lucas, who worked with Theo at the time, who kind of helped all that happen. Incredible, amazing. And equally Mark Blundell, who I heard speak at Theo's event. I reached out to him and thought, there is no way in this world he's saying yes. And he really quickly was like, yeah, absolutely no problem. What can we do? And I'm like, oh my God. And what helps if you're if you've got people that you want, and there's lots of lovely brands I follow, so like Wild Cosmetics, I love what they've done. So thrilled that Charlie said yes. Emma Bridgewater is an iconic brand. Snag Tights, Brie Reed, what she has done with the Snag brand is insane. Joe Tutchin Sharp, Scamp and Dude, incredible. So everybody in the book of Janine Alice, who is Australian, who is the person behind Boost Juice Bars, Jenny Lefcourt, who is one of the partners from Freestyle, but also created weddingchannel.com, Akai, so that's Cassia Bromley. Really should have had the book in front of me. Oh, Marcus from Fairfax and Favour. So they're all brands that I have known and loved and watched grow. And they're people that I approach. Now, because I'm in this space, I love brands, I love marketing, I love PR, I love the social media side, I love how it all works. I do observe a lot of brands, either actively or not so actively. And I approached a number of people. I was ghosted, ignored. They annoyed me more than the no's, to be blunt with you. I don't ever mind a no. I really was annoyed by the one that gave me the runaround, because that just wasted so much time. A polite no immediately would have been so much better. But anyway, so how did I pick them? I had a list of people that I would love to work with, and I'm really lucky that they said yes and they're in the book. So yeah, really grateful to them all. How did you end up working with Enterprise Nation? Years ago, they had a program that they ran with Meta called She Means Business, which was a really cool program, and it helped educate women, helped support women actually, around increasing their skills on Facebook and Instagram at the time, but now obviously it's extended to WhatsApp and Messenger and things like that too. So that was quite cool. And I started working with them on that. And that was just before lockdown, because the point was you're meant to be doing these in-person training sessions. And of course, you couldn't do anything in person because of COVID. But I did a lot of online training, which I loved. From that, I then worked with them on other programs. I was one of the Business Connected advisors for a bit, which was a program they ran with Vodafone. I have spoken at 3 of their events, actually. The Festival of Female Entrepreneurs, And I've also spoken at Startup 23 and Startup 24. And I've, hosted things for them as well. And I'm a Help to Grow advisor, which is the government's scheme to support small businesses, and that's run through Enterprise Nation. So I started off working with them on one of their programs, and it just kind of grew from there, really. But they're absolutely brilliant. If you are a small business person, if you are thinking about having a small business, if you're a solopreneur, you can watch the trainings on Enterprise Nation for free. Brilliant. So much good stuff there. Go and check them out. I also won an award with them. I was PR Advisor of the Year with them, which was amazing. And I was a finalist this year as well. And we went to the awards at the Shard, which was sponsored by Constant Contact. Oh my God, I've never been to the Shard. It was absolutely insane. It was so lovely. The view of London was just wild. It was so good. Anyway, on to the next question, which was, how did you become a guest lecturer? So I've mentioned that earlier. I was asked to go and be a dragon, which I think I'm an excellent dragon. The Royal Agricultural University, some of the students on one of the programs have to create a product or a service, make it into a business plan and pitch a business idea to 3 dragons, and I'm one of them. And from that, I noticed that there was like a bit of a gap in the knowledge that was coming through from the marketing point of view. And I spoke to the lecturer, the person that was leading that course, and became a guest lecturer that way. And then when you've done something for one, you can then utilise that to tap into other potentials with other places. So that's what I did. And yeah, I do some guest lecturing with, I've done obviously the Royal Agricultural University, I've guest lectured at Hartbury, I've guest lectured at Harper Adams. I have also guest lectured remotely for a couple of places. Remotely is harder because remote is harder from a lecturing point of view. You can kind of talk about what you like, but the thing that I really love is like the Q&A, looking at people's individual problems. I love all that. So yeah, but it's great. I love it. I like teaching people things. The next question is about public speaking, about how did I get into it? And I know I've told this story before, but I just wouldn't do public speaking for a long, long time. And then I thought, this is just ridiculous. I need to get over myself. So I applied for a TEDx talk, which was TEDx Malvern. And they said yes. And then I thought, crap, I've got to now give a TEDx talk. But it was brilliant. Doing it just changed my whole thoughts around public speaking. I went from being terrified of it to not caring, because that's not what it is. I still want to do my best. I want to do a good job, but I don't worry about it. It's excitement, if anything. It is excitement, maybe a little bit of nerves, but not because I'm worried about it going wrong, but because I wanted to go as right as possible. So that is, yeah. So I did that. It went well. I thought, God, that was a fluke. And then I applied for another one and got that as well. That was TEDx Telford. And spoke at that event. And that went even better. And that just really set me off on a trajectory of really enjoying public speaking. So I do as much as I can now. I need to start kind of cranking it up again, because with the book launch, although, I hosted an event at Hatchards in Piccadilly, which was insane. Loved that. I've done a lot of book launch stuff. I've been working on a few big projects. I need to kind of crank up the public speaking again, which is great, exciting. The next question is, and I think the last question probably, is what's next? So what am I doing next? Well, something coming up immediately that I think you would like to know about is I am hosting an event at Babel Beer House in London I'm going to get all the details up for you because I don't want to misquote anything. So it's at Babel Beer House, which is in London. It's by King's Cross. And we are hosting an event on the 16th of June. I'm sort of hosting, it's a Monday in London. The tickets are £10, so nothing, like really not much money at all. And for your £10, you get a complimentary cocktail, small bites for lunch, which is great. And we've got panel discussion. So I'm going to be hosting the event. which I'm so excited about. And on the panel, we are going to have, I'm going to read through this list for you. Donna Ambrose from Zoetis. We're going to have Stephanie, I've mispronounced this lady's name. She was on the podcast. She's a lady behind Baked by Steph. I want to say Gordano. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but I cannot wait. She's amazing. Ruth Chappell, my friend Ruth, Dressage Anywhere. Susan Bonnar, who is the lady behind the British Craft House. Jess Littlewood, who is just a force of nature. She is she's involved with the comms for Theo Paphitis' group, so the Theo Paphitis retail group and the Small Business Sunday. Lorna Bladen from Enterprise Nation, I was giving her a big shout out earlier. Adaku Parker from Dovetailed, super cool brand. And Emily Timberlake from Flora Drinks, and Sophia Lorimer from Fine Tuned Wardrobe. We're going to have panel discussions. There's going to be lots of opportunity for networking, sharing real life stories, really good things like that. And that is in London, 16th of June. Yes, by King's Cross. If you want the link, send me a message, or I will be sharing it on my socials anyway. But come along, it's going to be an insane event. I'm really excited about that. So that's kind of in the immediate, what's coming up immediately for me. Again, I'm working on some stuff I can't really tell you about because it's not been confirmed. I had a pilot for my own radio segment just Friday. When you listen to this, it'll be 2 Fridays ago, which I'm really excited about. So that was broadcast across BBC Hereford and Worcester, BBC Shropshire and BBC Stoke at about 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. So I'm really excited about that. That's kind of good week and bad week. So who's had a good week in the press, who's had a bad week from a kind of press and PR point of view. So I'm really excited about that. I've got some really big projects in the pipeline, which I can't share yet, but as soon as I can, I absolutely will. I'm also working on Mastermind and kind of remodeling that slightly. And I'm also working really hard on some standalone courses. So there's lots of things going on. I think it can be just quite hard. I felt a bit overwhelmed recently because there's so many things that I either want to do or I've got the opportunity to do, which is amazing. But it's really easy to become just wildly overwhelmed by it and stagnant and not do things. So yeah, there's things going on that I can't tell you about because that's what is so annoying. But trust me, as soon as I can tell you, as soon as things are confirmed, you will be very high up on the list of people knowing. And I'll be putting it on social media anyway. So yeah, I felt like that was a catch up. If you have got a few minutes and you could rate and review the podcast, that'd be incredible as well. One of my projects is to really ramp this up again. I think because I've been lucky because I had so many interviews in the pipeline and got those kind of scheduled, and that was awesome. But I've really missed the podcast. I've missed speaking to you. I've missed doing things live, but equally I haven't had the time to because I've been doing other things. But now we are back on it. So if you could rate and review the podcast, I'd be really grateful. If you could share it with your friends, I'd be super, super grateful. And any questions you've got, anything you would like a podcast about, any people you think would be an awesome guest, please do let me know. Thank you so much, and we will catch up really, really soon. Bye.